morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M by 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator for technology startups in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. In support of that mission, we do free mentoring roundtables every week almost. This is the 653rd 1M by 1M roundtable. Can you imagine? We've been doing this literally forever. Since 2008, we started with an experiment. 1M by 1M was launched in 2010. So it's been a very long journey, and we have come a long, long way. And we have a terrific network of partners, supporters, collaborators, investors, analysts, companies that we work with, enterprises, and so on. And of course, millions of entrepreneurs in our community. So we're going to start today's session with a conversation with Ashish Gupta, partner of Clearvision Ventures. Ashish has had a long career in venture capital, and I've known him for a very long time as a friend. We talk periodically and exchange notes. So this is a wonderful opportunity to share one of our catching up conversations with you. So welcome, Ashish. Great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
So Ashish, of course, the world is hyperventilating on AI. So let's start with that discussion. What do you see? How do you parse? What is your AI investment thesis?
So I think even AI and then more recently Gen AI, and as we'll go further, I'm sure you'll parse those two out. Um, I'm a database guy by training, and I'm a big believer in Blind Man and the Elephant as the story paradigm, where five blind people go to check out an elephant and feel different body parts and conclude that the elephant is a totally different object. So I think I'm one such blind person who touches and feels a whole bunch of things, and therefore a perspective that gets informed by more the database bias that I have from my past leads me to view a lot of technologies through that lens. And AI is particularly interesting in that regard because it takes a whole bunch of things that otherwise people like me used to do around data mining and data processing, and makes it irrelevant by replacing the human brain with brute force compute by saying, okay, if you could comprehend 3 dimensions, we will instead figure out 30 dimensions at one point in time by finding patterns using machine learning algorithms, which is enormously powerful and leads to, especially in companies that have the data, being able to leverage that to improve their own executions at a fantastic pace. So I think it furthers the power of the already powerful in ways that are very hard to comprehend. And I think evidence of that is reflected in the market caps of a lot of the larger companies that have taken one of the assets that they had. So people often talk of data as quote unquote oil. I think it is a little dangerous analogy because you also need to own the refinery. Otherwise, it's not as much oil as much as sludge. And these larger companies are able to use AI. Um, and I sometimes wonder how much of the startup activity, by virtue of this acceleration, actually gets hurt. So I'm more concerned about AI-based startups being uh, as vibrant a value proposition as much as AI helps the larger companies more disproportionately, in my view, Shramna.
Very interesting perspective. So let's double click down on that.
Yeah.
We've had, 7 or 8 conversations with investors so far in this series, in this AI series that we're doing, and almost universally, everybody's excited about vertical AI. and they're investing in vertical AI startups, people who are coming up with a small, well-defined problem and really, solving that with AI in a very meaningful way.
Right.
Um, so, is your perspective significantly different from that vertical AI
Uh,
hypothesis?
so I think there are many ways to slice. So if we for a moment assume that the reason to contain the scope of what one is applying AI to is so that one reduces the probabilistic nature of the results, and one increases the depth of what is contained in the models, both of which therefore lead to better outcomes, deeper and more precise. I actually agree with that thesis. And one of the things that has excited me personally, I'll just put that into the mix because back to the blind man and the elephant, this is just one perspective. I've been particularly excited about companies that are bringing human beings in addition to AI.
Yeah.
Um, and so human in the loop kinds of companies,
Mm-hmm.
because that helps, in my view, compensate for the impreciseness of things that sometimes AI brings to bear,
Yeah.
and also the need for constant refinement, where several of these companies don't have the internal talent pool to do that constant refinement. And then, if I bring that kind of thinking to bear to your point about vertical AI, it actually begins to add up in my head also.
Yeah.
Because frequently these vertical players are people who don't have deep technical teams. So while Amazon can take advantage of the AI kind of stuff that I was talking about very effectively,
Yeah.
if I look at a Pfizer, for example, and I'm just picking Pfizer out of the hat, I have no particular reason to
Yes.
insult
Yes.
them for not having a technical team. I don't know enough, but I'm speculating that companies like that will have a harder time hiring the quality of talent that an Amazon or a Facebook will.
Certainly.
Uh, Verticalizing that and going to people who have data, but in my view, also with a services component to it. That way, one makes both the solutions more precise and one helps them bridge the gap between knowing that this technology is powerful versus converting it actually into a solution, is the direction in which I've been biased.
Mm-hmm. I've actually talked to a number of people in who are looking at the services aspect and the human in the loop aspect. So, have you invested in companies with
Uh,
human in the loop?
A few. So, for example, there is a company called Skit. They build voice bots.
Mm-hmm.
So, an agent gets replaced by a voice agent. However, let's say somebody starts singing a Elton John song in the middle of a conversation about banking. Now the bot would not know where to go. So you need to bring a human in the loop. And this is a ridiculous example of more realistic boundary conditions that you can imagine. So 80% of the conversation ends up happening with a bot, and then some 20% gets handed over to a human.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is a company called Inferred here in the Bay Area. They extract data from for mortgage and insurance companies. And there you will end up with the odd data element, which does require a human being to look at things and reconcile them. But otherwise, 99% of the work will end up getting done using AI models. Or a company that actually serves the pharma industry. They do content management.
Mm-hmm.
The same piece of content for a pharma company can find its way into marketing literature as it can in an FDA disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
So content is a very important part for pharma companies. This company uses a combination of man plus machine to repurpose content to help them figure out how to create labels for different geographies and stuff like that. And they're all companies that are constantly readjusting the boundary of what machine learning can do and what human beings then have to do to finish off the job that was partially done by an AI based solution.
Ashish, what are your companies, these examples that you just shared, experiencing in terms of adoption by these humans in the loop? Are these humans, by the way, do these humans work for your startups or they work for the enterprise?
Great question. And I think that is one of a very important open in play dynamics, Shramana, that We'll see how it goes out, and I really don't even have a hypothesis. For these companies currently, all the people who are using the tools are internal.
Okay.
And part of it is because the tools keep changing so quickly that training a third party on using those tools is a constantly moving target. And as a result, it is a hard one to
Okay. So they
fulfill
are selling product and services, technology and services, and the service element is performed by the startup,
by the startup.
not.
However, yeah, but the question that you raised is very much an elephant in the room question, because tomorrow, if somebody comes and presents a solution that is usable by an internal person, um, and there are internal HR questions, where, for instance, the person who owns a particular function, are
Mm,
they used to outsourcing the work? Let's take a head of marketing in a company.
yeah.
They're used to working with agencies, and actually, that's one of the companies that I'm invested in does exactly that. It's a AI powered agency.
Yeah.
Now, the head of marketing is used to buying final content.
Right.
But tomorrow, what if they only want to change which to that in a website? For that, should they really be paying the agency for changing that, or should they change that and it really doesn't impact the SEO value of the content or stuff like that? Those boundaries will soon start getting crossed, and in much more meaningful ways. So your question actually is one of the big ones that all of these companies are thinking about, even though they've taken a certain choice right now.
There's another question, a very similar related question that is also coming up, where people are, the vertical AI company assumes that a human on the enterprise side is going to use their technology, and the human who's supposed to be using their technology is also supposed to be training that technology. And that human is very nervous about using or training that technology with the
Yes.
fear that they're going to get eliminated from the loop.
Very true. Very, very true. And one of the reasons why several of these companies at least have taken the path of saying we will bundle both the technology and the human being to provide you an outcome is because
Of this
that
issue.
HR aspect
Yeah.
is fraught with uh, it's a beyond our pay grade kind of question, because there are bigger forces at play
Yeah. Yeah.
in that. Totally, totally agree with you.
So, Ashish, I'm going to switch gears a little bit and
Mhm.
ask you about hallucination.
Okay.
Now, here's a amusing anecdote. A friend of mine sent me a screenshot.
Hmm.
He tested what Meta has to say about Shravana Mitra.
Okay.
And this is absolute garbage. Shravana Mitra has a degree in journalism, an MBA from University of Texas, none of which is remotely true. and, and he's like, this is what AI is saying about you. I'm like, well, this is why general AI has a long way to go.
Indeed. Yeah. And
So now this is an amusing instance. It doesn't really, hurt anybody,
it
but
could turn dangerous pretty quickly. If,
it
for
could turn
instance,
dangerous very
yeah,
quickly.
I mean,
Exactly.
you are in no need of a job, but if somebody was looking for a job, and this is what the recruiting manager saw, and blindly trusted uh, a large company's results over what was written in a resume, we this person could be rejected with, and that is one of the smaller things. But it is widespread, Shamana. In fact, one of the gentlemen that I work with, he's building a company which is solving a very narrow problem in the programming space. One of the use cases that everybody keeps talking about is that programmers will be replaced with automated code generation thing. So this is the founder of a publicly traded company that now has started another startup, and they're solving a particular problem for one particular kind of programming,
Okay.
just code review.
Okay.
And he was remarking to me a couple of weeks ago that he either has become incompetent, or these other people who are claiming that they can write entire systems are blowing smoke up everybody's backside, because they are finding that it is hard to do reliable, predictable code review for just one programming language.
Yeah.
And these are people I've known for 17 years and they have not turned into idiots. I think it is really the hype of a lot of the stuff that yet has not been deployed in enterprises. And I'm seeing that consistently in most of the companies.
Absolutely. I mean, generative AI is a very new technology, right? It's, barely 2 years in industry and really 1 year in industry, not even two. And to build that much technology on top of that to build whole systems, I mean, writing whole systems is serious business.
Yeah,
This is a joke.
yeah.
So I think we are, 5 years away from anything remotely close to that. Will
And
probably
even
happen, but it's not nowhere
not
near
imminent.
there.
Not imminent. And for instance, one of the companies that I was referring to, a company called Pepper Content,
Mhm.
they have internal tools and they are becoming the next gen agency. But it is very clear to the founder, and he positions it as I am an agency, not here is a set of tools, and henceforth you can forget about
Yeah.
WPP or Publicis.
Yeah.
He's very clear that, hey, I am also an agency. I have people. Because a
Yeah.
lot of the content, it is obvious to the reader that this is machine generated
Machine
because
generated content got really uninteresting, flat, no
very
personality content.
flat. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I find it hard to put my finger on what, but when I read it, it is very clear that,
Yeah.
nah, no flavor.
We have talked internally in my team because we do so much work with content, and I'm like, you know what, we're not doing this because I'm known in the industry for a really strong, powerful
Right.
voice. We are not going to, tarnish that with this kind of flat
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah.
So, by the way, if you remember a few years ago, there were these terminologies we used to use in this business. One is do it yourself, and the other is do it for me, right?
Okay.
DIFM. And I think AI, these vertical AI solutions, many of them would perform better as DIFM technologies.
Yeah. Uh, uh, and hence, because I too am of that view, Shamna, hence at least my bias, not complete by any sense, but given that we all have to make a choice, is indeed to go after companies that are adding a human layer
On
on top
top.
of this.
Yeah, interesting.
That way, the customer has somebody to talk to when, uh, and those tools, the analogy that I end up using is uh, if I have to dig a hole in my backyard, I'm going to rent a crane with a driver. I'm not just going to rent a crane because then that hole could very well be in my living room
Yeah,
because I'm not trained to use heavy equipment
exactly.
and this is heavy equipment.
This is heavy
And
equipment
you don't come and park it in one's living room and start playing with it and expect results that are productive. So you hire it with a driver,
with the driver. Yeah.
and
No,
hence at least my short-term bias. Yeah,
and if you have a Ferrari in your hands and you drive it like a Honda Civic, that is not a good use of the Ferrari either.
very true, very true.
So, what of platforms and this euphoria, this absurd amounts of funding that are going into a handful of very large platform companies? How do you analyze them? I can imagine that you don't want to invest in them,
Yeah, I
but
too poor. Okay, missing four zeros.
wouldn't, no question. But how do you analyze them?
Um, First and foremost, I don't have a deep enough understanding to have an opinion that you should take too seriously. It's based mostly on reading, and I maybe should have invited my wife to this. She's the AI PhD. She does machine learning research at Google. So you have the wrong family member for this conversation. The little that I have been able to piece together, I think several of I come back to the disproportionate advantage that the larger guys have. And by the larger guys, I mean the Amazons and the Facebooks, because they also have access to untold amount of data.
Yes.
And those dimensions, I think, are going to become an interesting future dial where uh, how are these models going to continue to stay current? On the natural language understanding portion, one reaches an asymptote.
Yeah.
However, on the contextualization, which comes back to your uh, vertical LLMs or Gen AI plays question also, um, why should I take on the overhead of an all-knowing beast and then try and constrain its power by putting
You don't need it.
chains around it? I would rather start with a smaller beast and beef up its biceps if that is all I need, as opposed to contain the other beast's quads and brain. And
Yeah.
there is something upside down in
And then
this.
introduce inordinate amounts of hallucination as a result.
Absolutely. So to contain that hallucination, I first take on this nuisance of controlling context by adding, instead, why don't I start with the much smaller, thinner
Yeah.
model
It's
if all
my
I want?
instinct also. I can't claim to know enough computer science, even though I am a computer scientist, you are a computer scientist, but we are not working at this level at the
Indeed.
moment in the computer science level. But just pure instinct, I don't think it's, you talked about the database perspective, right? Databases need metadata. They need the, how you organize the data and all that. And uh, there already you're constraining,
Right.
right? Your
Yeah.
learning models will take that constraint, that or data organization, the data structure, so to speak, and the metadata, so to speak, from that organization. And then why not just work with a smaller vocabulary, smaller language model that is domain specific and just work with that? And then there is no hallucination,
Absolutely.
none of the, you know, extraneous stuff.
Yeah. And if, for
Where I
example,
land, that's where I land as well.
same here, if I'm in the pharma world, I don't want to now keep telling the model that MS is not Masters of Science or Microsoft or 40 other things.
Yeah.
And also, the company is asking, I've got all this data, which in free text is now for the first time aggregatable because I don't need to structure it. I can stick it all into a LLM. Why should I worry about how is this data going to get used, abused, mixed up with
Yeah.
all kinds of other folks? And I'm a large Fortune 100 company. I have more than enough data for this model to become rich and uh,
Journalism.
and be useful. So I struggle with the large money use cases being built on top of.
Yeah. No, same here. I think I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question that is, having been in the industry for a while and SaaS being quite active for many years now, right? I would say around 2008,
Yeah.
SaaS became really successful as a investment category, and lots of money went in there, and we've seen cloud companies, SaaS companies, an explosion, and vertical SaaS has been a very successful field with good workflow automation, etc. Now comes AI, and now comes AI with SaaS, combination of SaaS and
Mhm.
AI. So there is this new company starting from scratch that is AI plus SaaS. And then there's an old vertical SaaS company that maybe is doing $30, $40 million in revenue, but doesn't have AI. What does this company do? What does the incumbent do?
Yeah. So I think pretty much every company has no choice but to start using some parts of AI. I think that is fait accompli.
Yes.
And several of the, at least SaaS companies were built um, assuming an RDBMS as the underlying platform. Some of that portion will also get fragmented because if I have unstructured data, let's take a customer support app.
Yeah.
Customer support apps take
All
unstructured
unstructured.
data, forcibly structure it, in the process lose fidelity.
Yes.
And there is no real reason for why, well, there are good reasons, I take that back. There is a strong reason for reconsidering an RDBMS as the backplane on which one builds a knowledge oriented app. It was being used because there was no free text-based compute
Right.
platform before AI has arrived. So I think the the example that you portrayed, this company, the incumbent has an advantage. And the advantage that the incumbent has is AI is still a technology. The business problem on top of it is the real thing that causes people to buy that solution or not.
Yeah.
And that understanding is deeper with the incumbent than with the person who's got the new tools. And technologies at the end of the day don't end up determining, especially business facing companies' future. They get adopted horizontally by everybody. If somebody is uh, lazy about it, then it's a different issue. But this 30, $40 million company, I think, has a better chance if they uh, consciously start adopting AI than a person who starts brand new, modulo those classes of applications where the entire architecture has to be revisited.
But that's part of the issue, though, Ashish,
Right.
right there, because the AI stack and a non-AI cloud stack are different,
Indeed.
and that's where kind of offering the full power of AI in an old architecture is a non-trivial problem to solve.
Yeah. So if it is more of a knowledge intensive free text based application, I would be cheering for the newbie
Newbie, yeah.
some more. Let us say this was a company that was dealing with financial data where you really cannot walk away from inherently structured data.
Yeah, that's
Then
different.
I
That's
would be cheering for the incumbent, and then there would be the real hard problems, which I think you're referring to, which are people in the middle, where one cannot take this easy cop out that I have taken, um, where I think one would have to uh, lose some money before one finds the right answer.
No, I think what the nuance that you are pointing out is correct in that it depends on the problem and it depends on the domain and the nature of the data. It is if it's a more structure-oriented data, then it's easier to make the transition. If it's largely unstructured data that really has the power to solve problems, then it's the newbie is at an advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Ashish, it's a pleasure. We will continue the
Thank you.
conversation and please do send me an email with when you want to come over
Look
and
forward
we'll
to it.
arrange
And
something.
thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure.
And take care, Sean.
Okay, folks, we are going to go to the entrepreneur pitch section and we have one scheduled pitch and then I will take questions from the audience as well. So if you would like to talk to me, by all means, be ready to talk. You can use the public chat or I will turn, if you raise your hand, I will, turn on your audio as well. So this is a safe working session, everybody, whether you're pitching today or another day that you're planning to pitch in the future. This is a safe working session. I'm on your side. So no need to be nervous or scared or anything. I will work with you and try to give you my best feedback, and you can take it or leave it. That's your prerogative. Phil, you're up.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, thanks for having me here. So yeah, I just come from Indianapolis. And before I dive in, I wanted to quickly ask you, what's your experience with e-cigarettes? What have you seen? What have you heard?
E-cigarettes? I'm not a smoker at all. So I have no experience with cigarettes.
Mhm.
I will
Yeah.
let you educate me.
Yeah. So as you know, kind of over the years, e-cigarettes, vapes have become the new standard for nicotine delivery. And, the CDC calls it the worst vaping epidemic that our youth has faced and urges us to take action and generate new methods for cessation to help the youth quit. And yeah, are you controlling the slides? If you could,
I will control the size. Just tell me when you
awesome.
want me to advance them, I will advance them.
Thank you. Awesome. And yeah, so I was a vape addict myself. Picked it up in college, and over the years, my friends picked it up as well, and we were all vaping. We thought it was fun, safe, cool. It felt good, but realized after a few years how hard it was to quit. And how impossible it was, and started to feel the side effects of it, the lung pain, the chest pain, the stamina decrease. And so realizing how bad it was, you can go to the next slide. You know, that led me to dive into the research. I helped universities design different studies, help educate medical professionals on vaping. They never studied it themselves because it's so new, and began creating TikTok videos and kind of taking all that experience and putting it into HabitHalo. And the core of our technology is taking a proven method, gradual reduction, tapering someone off to reduce their withdrawals, but modernizing it for the modern form of nicotine, vaping. And I'm here joined by Todd. He's in the audience right now. He's our CEO. He comes from 30 years of medical device and a combination of algorithms and hardware within diabetes, and also currently backed by Boomerang Venture Studios right now as well. And then, yeah, you can go next. And next slide. Yeah, next. And yeah, so, back in the day, one of these Juul vapes, 200 puffs, $20. That was in 2017. And now for the same price in 2024, 25,000 puffs, right? So for the same price. So it's becoming much easier and cheap for kids and individuals to become addicted. And so, that's kind of reflected in the market on the next slide. It's just a huge industry. It's growing. It'll continue to take a few billion of market share away from the $1 trillion smoking category every single year. It's just a big problem that will get even worse that we are trying to solve. Next, thanks. And so, I kind of mentioned this at the core. What we do is we reduce their availability of nicotine over time, help reduce their withdrawals and that physical dependency, while we have wait times in between their use sessions to help increase the psychological control, right? And so at the end of their 60, 90-day quit plan, they can have a much greater success or a greater chance of succeeding. Next. And so this process, this algorithm personalizes to you. So it watches your own vaping history, combine it with your own inputs and preferences for when you want to quit, you have this vacation upcoming, how much you sleep, taking that all into consideration, and then generating a personalized quit plan for you, and then delivering that through various hardware mediums that we're offering. So, the most advanced one we have that needs to go through FDA is the Quit Vape right here. But that's going to be the long-term strategy. Medium term, we can launch this in Europe quite easily. But how do we get into the United States? Fast, no regulatory. And that's where the Quit Box comes in. It's essentially the case for your vape. These are what these disposable vapes are looking like these days. It's a hardware it's a smart locking case for your vape. Locks and unlocks, restricts access at certain points, and keeps it into the box so that you stay on the program, and it monitors your usage and helps you reduce over time. And so we plan to launch that Q1 of next year, and we're currently finalizing product development, testing, and finalizing our $1 million fundraise for that. And I think currently we're at 35% of the way through. So we're just focusing on getting that done and launching. And so, yeah, I mean, I could pause. I could pause there for now. Oh, I guess I could talk about this really quick. Is our success rates for the Quit Vape with 30 individuals, 40% success. They sustained that for an entire year, their quit. And that stat in itself is 2 times more effective than the current leading solution on the market available now, or 8 times more effective than the most used method, which is just quitting cold turkey. And so we're really excited about the algorithm we have here, and we're just trying to launch this as fast as possible onto the market and help as many vapors quit and change their lives. So I can pause there and kind of fill in Yeah.
if I understood this correctly, you have currently what you're selling is this $225 case for your vaping product, yeah?
Yep. So at the core, it's the app, the algorithm, and then the app, the algorithm, and then it connects to the hardware quit box. Yes. And so you buy the box for $225. It comes with 6 months of the quit program, and if you relapse and need to try again, then you can re-up for a low monthly fee, $5-10 a month, to help you quit, or you can just restrict yourself at a certain level, so that in the future when you try to quit again, you're at a lower level and it's easier to quit versus going all the way back up to where you were. So it's 3 modes: quit, restrict, monitor.
Okay. So, I mean, when I look at a product like this, it's a physical product and it has, you know, I imagine there's interest in quitting vaping, significant interest in quitting vaping.
Yes.
Now, did you say something about having a TikTok channel?
Yeah, I make content on how to quit vaping, different tips and tricks, and really speaking to our demographic, the 22 to 25-year-olds, and really from that, my own personal experience and our research. I think over the time I've been making it, we've had over 1 million views and 200,000 interactions. So really getting a lot of comments about what's working and what's not working, and feeding that further into the app and the product, but also as a marketing platform, and easily organically reaching them.
Do you have a sense of how many unique users or viewers are on that platform for your TikTok channel?
Unique viewers, there's other metrics, like let's say individual followers, 7,000 followers,
7,000 followers.
yeah, 7,000
7,000.
followers, yeah, over 1 million views, and then 200 different likes, and 200,000 different likes. And
So you will understand where I'm going with it just in a moment.
sure.
Physical products like this do very well if you have the capability to market them. They do very well on Kickstarter. Have you done anything with Kickstarter?
No, but we are considering it. And actually, between Kickstarter and Indiegogo and other platforms, I believe Kickstarter might have more restrictions around vaping.
There are two things I will tell you. Kickstarter would be just advanced product purchase.
Mhm.
But there are equity crowdfunding platforms where if you can do some amount of advanced selling, and you said you have about 30% of your round that is already you have raised or have got commitments from, if you could bring that to the table with an equity crowdfunding situation,
Mm.
and then put the TikTok channel on top of that to market that equity crowdfunding round, where you're doing advanced selling to your 7,000 audience,
Yep.
bringing them on, and you're raising money against equity crowdfunding platforms need some amount of equity commitment that you bring from you organically before you put it on a crowdfunding platform. So if you combine advanced product sale and equity crowdfunding, layering what you have already raised and then these 7,000 TikTok followers, I think this will serve two purposes. It will serve completing your funding round. More importantly, it would probably give you thousands of users who would give you an order. And how long does it take you to build this product and fulfill those orders?
Yep. So we should be launching this in the beginning of next year, and we're just finalizing the MVP, and we have the manufacturer lined up, and yeah, we're just excited to go. The manufacturing itself should take 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks. So let's say you launch a Kickstarter campaign in a couple of months, and it's actually this is a very interesting maybe you should launch the Kickstarter campaign in January
Mhm.
as a New Year resolution.
Yes.
This is the psychographic of this audience could be New Year resolution is to quit vaping. And here's the way to quit vaping. Give us your orders. We'll take the orders. We will fulfill your order within 2 months or whatever
Yep.
that you think it's going to take. I think that's the strategy I would follow.
That's a great idea. I'm writing that down. And yeah, and if you could click 2 more slides over or
Sure.
3.
By the way, you have a recording of this available after this program, so you don't need to write anything down at the moment.
1 more.
This one? One more? Yeah.
And yeah. So yeah, I think the Kickstarter, you know, the question is how do we build hype and wait lists ahead of the launch, right? So Kickstarter one would be a great avenue. Another thing that we're going to be launching in the next month or so is this very simple free app, My Motivator app. And you know, we're talking about the use of AI, and we're using this app to personalize messages to individuals that just quit vaping and need that extra push and motivation to keep sustaining it, especially in those 3 to 7 days when their cravings are most intense. And so this speaks to you as if you're a 25-year-old. You know, how do you like to be motivated? Positive? Do you like scare tactics? Do you want science? No science? And a lot of different inputs, right? And then you just hit a button and it triggers a message every time. It'll be free, and then there will be a wait list screen. Hey, if you need more restrictions or need more help, sign up here. Our launch is upcoming.
So
What do you think
your
about
game plan is to drive your 7,000 TikTok followers into this My Motivator app?
that would be one goal, yes. And then do our own marketing. So with TikTok, make more videos around this app, drive more organic traffic to the app, and then that's kind of the first experience they get with us. And if they like it and they need more help, they can get better restrictions with the hardware device, which actually does a forced restriction and helps you quit easier without needing to rely on willpower all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about that idea?
Marketing apps is not easy. So I think you're gonna bank heavily on your TikTok channel because you have a starting point there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, marketing apps is not at all easy. And let's see, Todd wants to talk. Let me.
Oh, yes.
Oh, hi there. Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead, Todd.
Here I am.
Did you want to
Yeah,
say
Todd, anything you wanted to add amidst this conversation?
Yeah, I think that, you know, we expect to use the virality that we can generate with TikTok and Instagrams, interviews on the street, testimonials from people who are trying and testing our free app to generate those users and to generate our first level of people who will subscribe. And then we're also offering the app on its own as a subscription. There are other subscription apps out there to help people to quit. I think ours is unique because of our algorithm, but we're using the free app to build some demand for that initial paid app. And then the paid app will be followed by that same app plus an additional functionality to work with the box. So we're building the ultimate step up in users and revenue so that when we get to our what we believe is the most effective solution, which is the box and the app itself, we'll have built in some of that demand already. And in the background, we'll be working on the longer term quit vape device that Phil talked about. So that will help fund that development.
As far as I'm concerned, from if you want to do an equity fundraising and advanced product sale campaign on one of those platforms, Indiegogo maybe, you're going to need to be able to market that campaign to as many people as you can. So if you can grow in the time, let's say January is when you're going to do this campaign, you have 4 months almost. So in 4 months, if you can grow your 7,000 TikTok followers to 70,000 or 700,000, that is going to go a very long way in making this, you know, happen.
Yeah. That's a great idea. Yeah.
So I would really, limit the number of things that you're marketing and try to kind of get as many people to start engaging with you so that you can hit them up with this Kickstarter, the equity crowdfunding campaign and the advanced product sale campaign. That is really where you are going to get both product sales, validations, testimonials, and funding. That would be.
It's a very, very interesting approach, and we'll definitely take that back and look into detail on how to get that done. So appreciate that feedback.
You're very welcome.
Thank
All
you.
right, I'm going to move on and spend some time explaining to people here in the room how to use 1 million by 1 million. And then I will also take questions from the audience. I see many other people. You feel free to introduce yourselves in the public chat, or if you would like to talk, I will be happy to unmute you. So raise your hand and we can go through that process as well. So 1M by 1M, everything, it's all virtual. You can you can use this program from anywhere in the world. It's at 1MBy1M.com that we have all the resources. Our full acceleration program is the premium program. So there we have this kind of strategy consulting, but in private roundtables, members only roundtables. So you have more confidentiality. It's not one-on-one, just one person in the room. There will be other people in the room who are also premium members, but you will get to talk to me like this one-on-one. Investor introductions, we do a lot of investor introductions. You have to be at a point where we can introduce you to investors, and we will help you get there. There's a process of getting there. So you can look at the website on all of that details. The curriculum is incredibly helpful. We have a tremendous, rich curriculum today that has been in the market since 2010. And the case studies have been happening since 2006. So we have thousands and thousands of case studies, many thousand hours worth of material. And depending on what is it that you're trying to work on, there is a chance that you would find, as long as you're working within the tech entrepreneurship space, tech-enabled services, we would be able to give you curriculum material with which you learn. And then I have a lot of influence in this industry. I'm a top LinkedIn influencer. So if that's a platform where you're trying to gain leverage, that's where I can help you. There's also 1M Basic. Now, the curriculum is available in 1M Basic as a monthly subscription. It's only curriculum. The mentoring is not included in there. But you could come to these free roundtables and ask questions as you are using 1M Basic and the curriculum. So in one particular case, bootstrapping with a paycheck, which I know a lot of entrepreneurs are doing right now, keeping their day jobs and starting to bootstrap and starting to work on their startups. 1M Basic is a fabulous option to start learning. The first time entrepreneur's journey is an incredibly steep learning curve. So you're going to have to learn. So you can use 1M Basic to learn, but don't quit your job. Just kind of put one foot before the other, get much further along before you quit your job. So go to the website, look around what to expect from premium, what to expect from basic. We've had a lot of requests for private one-on-one consulting. So we put in one-on-one consulting as an option as well. You can access that, and I'll be happy to work with you one-on-one also. Upcoming free roundtables, there are 3 more in September, Thursday mornings, essentially, this time. If you have questions about the program, any part of the program, and you want to talk to someone, Irina Patterson is your contact. Email her at irina@1mby1m.com or text her at her phone number 786-301-2456, and she will schedule time to talk to you. That is all in terms of what I have to share with you, but I will be very happy to take questions. Is there anybody who has questions? You can also use the public chat to ask your questions or introduce yourselves. Anybody? Questions, comments? Here we go. Marcus, I just offered to unmute you. You can talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Where are you joining from, Marcus?
I'm from San Diego,
Okay.
California. I definitely appreciate having Ashish online and then Phil, your presentation as well. Definitely have some gratitude towards you coming up here and pitching. I looked at the curriculum. It's for a year. What does the timeline look for that? I know it's virtual, so is it at your pace program, or is it like weekly?
It is at your pace. It is completely at your pace. The whole program, the whole 1Mby1M program, whether you do premium or basic, is at your pace. So there's a monthly subscription for curriculum only. And then there is the premium subscription, which is a 1-year subscription. The premium subscription that includes mentoring and investor introductions and so on. That's the full acceleration program. The premium is $1,000 annual membership fee. And again, we've had people continue in the program for 3 years. Our biggest success story is a company that joined the program and then stayed in the program for 3 years, went public in the middle of COVID in 2021 for over 10 billion valuation, raised many, many $100 million worth of funding. We helped them raise their Series A, which was just $1 million, and helped them with their bootstrapping stage, got them, helped them with that first round of financing, etc. So we have no concept of graduation in 1M. We differ from many other acceleration programs in that sense, is that we are here for you as long as you're finding value and you want to continue in the program. We'll continue to work with you. I have experience of working with companies of much larger sizes and zero stage companies as well. So I'll be happy to continue working with you for as long as you want to work. So does that answer your question, Marcus?
Yeah, understood. I have a second part of the question. At what point, do you feel a company is ready for investor introductions?
Depends on the company, the business, what is considered fundable in that particular business or that particular domain, business model, etc. And what stage of funding are we talking about? So that's there's no thumb rule for that. There are thumb rules once you get down to the specifics of what type of business. There are certain thumb rules. SaaS companies have certain thumb rules by way of MRR, ARR, etc. But again, there is enterprise SaaS versus small business, small medium business. There are variations.
Yeah, understood. Sorry for the vagueness, but okay. Definitely appreciate your insight, Marama.
You're very welcome. Swati, if you want to talk, you need to unmute.
Hi, you can hear me now, right?
Yes, we can hear you. Swati, where are you joining from?
From Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah, and I obviously came across your profile on LinkedIn and was very impressed with what you're doing and organizing these sessions with allowing people to make pitches and really valuable feedback. But I represent the world of biotechs, and I was wondering if you support biotechs or if you know of other platforms like yours that are specifically geared for biotechs.
So at 1M, we would do healthcare IT, but not biotech. So if you're doing life sciences, if it's, for example, there is a lot of AI in drug discovery kind of biotech happening, which we would do. As long as it's AI technology-enabled services, information technology-enabled biotech, we would be okay with it. But if it's pure life sciences, we don't do that. Pure pharma, we don't do that. Pure medical devices, we don't do that.
Okay. All right.
I don't know of any platform that does anything like remotely close to what we do at all in no other field. No field, not even this one.
I would agree.
So
okay, thanks a lot.
Sorry to disappoint you. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments?
If there's no questions in the chat, I had another one for you.
Yes, Phil, go ahead.
So, great advice on the Kickstarter and equity crowdfunding. What other ways would you, or what other advice would you have for us in helping close our $1 million round? We have about 65% left. And, especially for consumer hardware, there's a software component as well. But, it can be difficult for hardware and consumer.
Yeah, it's a very difficult category to fund, which is why I gave you the advice I gave you. I would say that the only other opportunity is friends and family.
Mhm.
So I would say your category is incredibly difficult to raise $1 million on nothing.
Right. And what traction would be required for these VCs to take that risk? We have one VC, healthcare VC, that was willing to take that jump with us, and now we're looking for others of the same caliber.
Ask that VC to introduce you to others they would co-invest with.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, folks, it looks like we are done. I don't see any other hands. So I will talk to you next time. Thank you for coming. Bye.
Thanks.